A lot of businesses took on a ton of debt during COVID to SBA loans and private loans, and now they're facing the prospect of having to pay that money back, and they can't do it. They're making choices between what happens if I close down, or how do I manage this debt? How do I get myself out of this hole, and how do I keep going with my business? Thank you for joining me on another episode of Motivational Esquire. My name is Diego Mendez. Not only am I the host of this show, but I'm also an attorney who has been practicing law here in Florida for almost 20 years. I represent a lot of people in a lot of different situations, specifically people who are losing their homes in foreclosure and businesses that have accumulated way too much debt. Question that I get often is, I thought Chapter 11 was only for huge businesses. We've heard of Bed Bath & Beyond filed recently, Toys R Us filed Chapter 11, big known businesses have been around for a long time, file Chapter 11, and then they disappear. Yes, that's very true. A lot of times, these big businesses also file Chapter 11. They come through the Chapter 11, they emerge from Chapter 11 and continue business. The Container Stores one that recently filed Chapter 11 was able to emerge from their filing and able to continue business. Now, it's not only for big businesses. There's another type of bankruptcy. It's called the Subchapter V bankruptcy, which is a specifically designed bankruptcy for small businesses. Congress created this so that small businesses could take advantage of the bankruptcy laws and also file their process to help them with debt. The difference between a Subchapter 5 and a big Chapter 11 bankruptcy, they're both considered Chapter 11s, but just one's called Subchapter 5 and one's just called as Chapter 11, is that in a Subchapter 5, the small business doesn't have to do a lot of the things and incur a lot of the costs that the big businesses take on when they file a Chapter 11. It's much cheaper. The attorney's fees are much smaller in a Subchapter 5. It's much more manageable. There are debt limits, meaning that your company cannot have huge debts in the multiple millions, but usually the businesses that are in the situation within the debt limits, because they're not the type of businesses that are worth millions and millions of dollars. Your business, if you're looking at this, you're watching this video, you're listening to this, you're probably within the debt limits. You're probably able, at least initially, superficially, to file a Subchapter 5 bankruptcy. The biggest thing, we've talked about this, but I'm going to reiterate this, is that you take control of the process when you file a Subchapter 5. You take the power away from the creditors. You now are able to propose a plan. You're the only one that can propose a plan to deal with the debt. Your plan has to be feasible. The plan has to work with the amount of money that your business makes. If your business is still making money and it's making enough money to pay some reasonable amount of money to your creditors, you can propose a plan that pays that to your creditors, and you can get the benefit of staying in business and paying your creditors. Everybody wants to pay back the money that they borrowed. That's our impulse. As business people, we want to pay back our debts. We're not here to take money and then never pay anybody back. I know the vast majority of the people who are considering this are those type of people. And also, the bankruptcy code only rewards the honest debtor, meaning the honest debtor is a company that is doing the right thing, that is willing to be transparent with their books, to show all the money that they made, where the money went, and propose a plan that's reasonable, that's going to pay basically whatever's left over at the end of the month after the owners have been paid and all the employees have been paid and the rent. They're going to pay that amount of money to the creditors, so the creditors get something out of the plan, and it's more than what you would get if you were to sell everything. Many times these businesses have nothing to sell, so any amount of money that's reasonable, the creditors will take, because if the business shuts down, the creditors get zero. And many times 20% of the debt is worth a lot more than zero. Not many of the times, probably all the time, but sometimes creditors still reject the plan because they don't want to accept it. It's not guaranteed that the creditors will accept the plan, but it is probably more likely that they'll take something over nothing. So the Subchapter 5 gives the business owner the ability and the power to manage their debt over a long period of time, 5 years, and pay off a certain percentage of what's owed and stay in business. If you're in that situation, you should really consider it, because it's going to help you keep your business going, manage your debt, and keep your sanity. Because that's the other thing. A lot of people in these situations, they lose their minds, basically. You run into problems with your family, with your marriage, with all kinds of situations that, business owners are not used to this, where they're having to close. It does happen. Businesses do close down. Businesses are all risk. And many times, the best thing to do is to close down. I'm not saying that every business should follow Subchapter 5. That's not true. The business is not making any more money, or the business has debts that there's no way it can ever pay, it has no ability to pay it back, then that business should not be in a Subchapter 5. It should be either closed down, or you consider a Chapter 7. But again, a Chapter 7 is a dangerous thing to file if you don't know what you're doing. So avoid the Chapter 7. There are other options, but for what we're talking about now, between a Subchapter 5 and a Chapter 7, always go with a Subchapter 5 if you have the ability to do that.